Hi there, Gemini. It's Meredith. I am here with a reading for the middle of July 2019. The intention of the reading is to explore the energies that are being stirred up, stimulated by the eclipses. The solar eclipse on the 2nd of July, the upcoming lunar eclipse on the 16th or 17th of July. So these cards are representative of that journey for you. And I encourage you to watch your Sun, Moon, Rising, Venus videos to go along with this to get the full picture of what's unfolding for you in the energy atmosphere. So we are going to use Angel Tarot right now to explore the joy that's being loved and nurtured out of the solar eclipse for you. That happened on the 2nd of July, and you have, whoa, quite a power card here in the Ten of Swords. This is a card of mastery. It's often called the Fallen Master card. So you've come through a cycle and you have reached a level of fulfillment at a heavy price, though, in terms of energy, life lesson, and experience. These are lessons learned the hard way, we'll say. However, they have really honed your skills. So it's worth it. Difficult, but worth it. And this card brings a message of moving into or toward a whole new horizon of life experience. So while these lessons were difficult, they were necessary, vital, valuable, super important to you, and they created a lot of self-mastery for you. Now, let's see what accompanies or complements this card in the challenge that's coming out of the solar eclipse. And you have the Seven of Swords, another challenging one. Okay, so the solar eclipse has opened a door for you to review your own self-mastery, the difficulty of your life lessons getting you to the here and the now, and having the challenge could be having the ability to recognize how you allowed your joy to be eroded in the process. And the next question, have I applied these life lessons well enough to put an end to that, eroding your own joy? My feeling here is yes. These are some no-nonsense cards. These sword cards are pretty intense in a reading. So this means, Gemini, that you've taken a very hard inventory of your purpose, your life purpose, and quite an inventory of what brings you joy and what doesn't. And then there is yet one more inventory, which is your own sense of self-responsibility to the whole process. It's really easy when we're in a situation to say or utter these words, "You make me feel." If you break that down, you recognize that is an avoidance of self-responsibility. And the feeling here is the avoidance of self-responsibility is what eroded your joy in the past. There was perhaps some codependency in relationships, and it was easier for you to blame one another than it was to take responsibility for what was unfolding. That's why the Ten of Swords is a no-nonsense card. These are not life lessons that any of us enjoy. And the revelation when it comes that we've been participating in that kind of energy and avoiding, denying, and so on, it's not comfortable. But when we recognize it, when we see that we're doing it, we can't unsee it anymore. 7. And we understand that that does rob us of our joy, and then we take steps to get over that. To stop doing that. So the beautiful, loving, compassionate energy of the solar eclipse combined with the new moon, both in Cancer, opened a doorway for you to lovingly look at this without blame, without recrimination of the self, without anger even toward the self. It opened a door more for you to see how challenging this part of the journey was for you, but how much you've gotten out of it and how you're applying that in the now. which is fantastic. The simple fact that you even recognize that this happened and took steps to bring greater happiness, harmony, alignment, and balance into your own heart space is something to celebrate. So these cards are a pat yourself on the back. Love yourself as expansively as you can for having come through this kind of energy. Now let's take a look at the joy and the challenge of the upcoming lunar eclipse. And you have in the joy position the King of Swords. Perfect. This is perfect. The lunar eclipse is really about revelation. And so while you've had some revelation over here, you're going to get more within the lunar eclipse. The King of Swords, the Queen as well, both of them make decisions from a bird's eye view sort of perspective. They're taking in the periphery. They are not just focused on one thing, they are focused on all things. They understand that some of their decisions are not going to please everybody. But that's not what you're here to do. And when you're harmonizing your own heart energy, even though you face difficult moments with other people connected to you and your dream or your co-creative dreams, there are parts that may remain unresolved, and that's okay. The joy of the lunar eclipse brings you the wisdom and the intuition and the mastery that you have over here to your decision-making process, which is now on a firm foundation of, does this choice before me now bring me closer to or further away from my intended happiness? So again, the answer may not always be the popular one. It is, though, the one that you will focus on, because you're not going to allow yourself to erode your own joy, steal your own joy, to please other people because that's just more comfortable in the moment. No, it creates situations that bring down foundations. You know, it cracks foundations. And you're not about that anymore, Gemini. You've explored that. You've explored it deeply. Will you repeat some of it? Probably. You'll come through it quicker because you've got a lot more mastery and wisdom. You'll recognize it sooner if you're doing it. And you'll make really wise choices to move yourself out of it with love and compassion. Now let's take a look at the challenge position of the upcoming lunar eclipse, and you have the Tower. Oh my gosh. Well, I did just say this other stuff, eroded foundations, it brings them down, and there's the Tower. So the challenge is to not go back into that familiar energy. There's a theme arising out of these messages. Yours is the third one I've done, and yours is the third time I've seen it. And it is simply that it's easy to go back into the old story that we've told ourselves, walk the path that's so familiar to us, when in fact what we're really doing is blazing new trails and creating a new life, a whole new foundation that supports our joy and our happiness that we are no longer sacrificing over here. So having the Tower in this position is very poignant. Oh gosh, pardon the background noise. It's very poignant because you could slip into that so simply, just out of familiarity. My sense of it, though, as I said moments ago, you're going to recognize it sooner if you do it, and you're going to self-correct with your wise choices and decisions. Okay? Now, the next card comes from the Sacred Traveler Oracle card deck, and the question put to this deck is simply, how is Gemini traversing the eclipse, and where is Gemini right now in the process? And we have uncovering treasure. Beneath the surface lies great bounty. Yeah, beneath the surface, actually, within the debris field of that Tower coming down, this 10 of Swords, this 7 of Swords, there's a debris field there, and there's treasure in it, which the King of Swords sees very clearly, picks out of it, and reincorporates into the journey of now. Last card of the reading comes from Indigo Angels. I simply ask them, what does Gemini most require at this time? And you have compassion. Compassion for self, compassion for the journey, and compassion for what's in the oncoming. All right, this is exciting. Do like, share, subscribe here on the channel. Please leave a comment if you're guided. Check out your Sun, Moon, Rising, Venus videos as well.
Bye for now.